Alrighty, we got GameStop shutdown, GameInformer magazine completely nuke the website and are silent on refunds from Yong Yeah.
Spiral.
Right.
GameStop. This is a company that's been on a downward spiral ever since they realized they can't just rely on physical sales due to the
Yeah,
fact that physical sales are just declining. It's
physical sales are down. The trend is everybody just likes digital. There's pros and cons to both of them. Pro to physical is like you physically own the thing, and a lot of times back in the day, whenever you made a game, uh, sometimes there would be like day one patches, but that was like a rarity and only came like later in video games. When you bought a physical copy of a game, either cartridge or disc, that's yours. You can do with it whatever you want with it. Now the trend is, everything's digital. If you play on Steam, or even not just Steam, or even if you subscribe to like Game Pass or like the PlayStation thing or the Nintendo thing, you're not really buying the game. You're just buying like a license to play the game, and that's kind of like weird to say that to like regular people, because that's not what, like, the knee jerk response to that is like, I bought just the digital version of the game. Well, the in order for you to be able to have that game, is the company needs to like constantly be doing well. If all of a sudden Nintendo or Microsoft or Sony just their stocks just completely plummeted and tanked, you wouldn't be able to play any of your or Steam for that matter, you wouldn't be able to play any of your digital games anymore. But I bought it. But yes, you bought it, but you didn't really buy the game. You bought a license to play the game, and that's just where the physical thing, the physical copy, comes into play. If Microsoft, Sony, Steam, or Nintendo just shit the bed, you still own that physical copy of the game, and as long as you have like a GameCube, a Wii, a Switch, whatever console, you can still go play those games, despite the company failing. You can still play the game. But the thing with physical that I see is that when you have been gaming for a long time, you just accrue shitloads of cartridges slash discs slash little mobile game cartridges or whatever, and that shit takes up space, like physical space. And all of those things can collect dust. They just take up space, and it's a weird thing, because this thought didn't occur to me until like when I was like way older. And it's the same thing with movies. Like, everyone doesn't really buy physical movies anymore. Well, for the most part, everything's like streamed. It's digital. So the movies is going through this just as easily or just as much as video games are. Same thing with music. I think it started in music, actually. From the conversion from like the cassette, or like before, it was like 8-track, cassette, CD, MP3, and then thereon it was just like over.
a digital age, and GameStop having failed to adapt, and with piss poor leadership and
The main thing that's fucking annoying with GameStop is the main unique thing about GameStop is the trade-ins. Bro, the trade-in kickback value for a game, even if it's like new, like let's say you buy a game on day one and it's like, oh, okay, I beat the game in a day or two, and then I don't want it anymore. It's like you go back, it's like, okay, I bought this like, I don't know, $60 game, maybe $70. And then, okay, we can give you 20 for it. It's like, bro, fuck you. You're just gonna turn around and sell this shit for like 65. All right, that is not a good deal.
management. They've only been relying on meme stocks to stay afloat. And along the way, there have been some casualties, including none other than GameInformer, which GameStop bought out all the way back in 2000.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I had a GameInformer subscription. I thought it was cool. I would look forward to my little GameInformer magazine coming in the mail every month for years. And even the physical magazine. Like I used to have like a bunch, like many years worth of Game Informer magazines. But then as I got older, I accrued too many, started to collect dust, and there would even be times where I would go back like 2, 3 years, maybe probably even more, and I would look at the old magazines and just be like reminiscent, nostalgic, like, oh, look what Game Informer used to be. This is what it is now, and I think it changed for like a better. From like the front side and the back side art being completely separate to like the pull apart, complete mural that like you open the magazine, you see in the front and the back, it's like an entire mural. I thought that was pretty cool. And then eventually, they just converted to digital magazine. Just go on our website, make an account, and then you'll get your monthly magazine in a digital form. And I don't know, it's just not the same.
The name Game Informer is just synonymous with gaming. They've been around since frickin' 1991.
Yeah.
They're the oldest video game magazine, and any gamer will have some kind of fond memory with buying some kind of magazine, buying an issue that covered a game that they were hyped for with exclusive coverage that was just next level, especially back in the day. Obviously, there's a lot more coverage that is much more widespread in this day and age, in this digital age. But, I mean, not too long ago, Game Informer was the magazine you'd go to get the most extensive coverage for games. And even in modern times, they would do exclusive coverage and cover stories and have all kinds of exclusive content with deep dives into upcoming games that would provide just an incredible amount of information and insight into the development process and the what we can expect from a game. And so it's incredibly sad.
But in retrospect, like Game Informer was like the game journalist brand that I associated like gaming with. I didn't think about game journalism the same as I do now. I would have to go back to see if like the things that I think now and associate with game journalism still applies to Game Informer.
To see them go out like this. This is GameStop just utterly butchering Game Informer with hardly any notice and completely taking down one of the sort of most iconic aspects of gaming and gaming coverage and gaming journalism. And we have seen this first in the form of a tweet here from the official Game Informer Twitter page. The tweet here reads, "The final level, farewell from Game Informer." And we got a statement right here. You can find the same statement if you go to GameInformer.com right now. It reads right here, "After 33 thrilling years of bringing you the latest news, reviews, and insights from the ever-evolving world of gaming, it is..."
Damn, we got the Sephiroth cover, Apex, Mario. Bro, I remember the first Assassin's Creed 1 cover that they had of like Altair doing like some dynamic ass shit. Like got the assassin hand with the blade coming out of his wrist. And that one was just like, oh my god, it's like the whole puppeteering game mechanic of like lethal hand, non-lethal hand, another button for your feet, another button for like your head. And they called it like some sort of like marionette system, like how you control them and whatnot. And dang, dude.
With a heavy heart that we announced the closure of Game Informer. From the early days of pixelated adventures to today's immersive virtual realms, we have been honored to share this incredible journey with you, our loyal readers. While our presses may stop, the passion for gaming that we've cultivated together will continue to live on. Thank you for being part of our epic quest, and may your own gaming adventures never end. Now, something that has been noted by now former Game Informer staff is that statement was not written by anyone within Game Informer. Right here we have a coverage from Kotaku, and there's a portion where they spoke to sources. Game Informer Twitter account posted the following statement online today, but sources tell Kotaku it was not written by anyone on the team, which was still in the process of making sure everyone on staff was informed about the news. The way this all played out was extremely sudden. Just a lot of folks did not see this coming. One day, GameStop called in members of Game Informer to let them know they're out of a job and that just the entire Game Informer brand would be taken down.
Damn.
Staff were all called into a meeting on Friday with parent company GameStop's VP of HR. In it, they were told the publication was closing immediately. They were all laid off and would begin receiving severance terms. At least one staffer was in the middle of a work trip when the team was told. And this means that...
Bro, like, you go on a work trip, and then all of a sudden, like, okay, sorry, Bill, but I'm sad to inform you that the company is shutting down. GameStop let us go. Bro, that sucks.
The last issue of Game Informer will cover Dragon Age the Veilguard as its cover story, and that'll be it. That's the end of Game Informer. It's also worth noting that on the consumer side of things, those who subscribe...
And also, since Game Informer is the oldest, and it is the first to fall, keep a lookout and see what other game journalist companies follow suit. Because this only sets a precedence, and it kind of gives you a little bit of insight on what's happening within the industry of game journalism.
To receive physical magazines, GameStop has not issued any statement whatsoever on any plans to issue refunds or whether such refunds will be provided, which is disconcerting. But perhaps the most egregious thing about all of this is the fact that the Game Informer website as a whole has been completely taken down. Again, if you go to the Game Informer website right now, you'll find the statement, but there's no way to actually access the website proper, which has tons of articles, videos, coverage of games, and exclusive coverage and cover stories and content that is now completely gone from the face of the internet. They didn't just shut down Game Informer, they literally nuked it. They literally deleted it, which means that we won't be able to preserve all of the coverage that they did. This is something that former video lead at Game Informer, Alex Van Aken, complained about, saying we can't access the website to back up our years of work. It's just a landing page now. He did say that he backed up and...
Let me see real quick. GameInformer.com. Wow. Okay. This is it. I mean, I guarantee if I go on like the Wayback Machine, shit will still be there.
Porn files, but we published thousands of materials yearly. There were 12 of us at the end, producing at print magazine, online stories, podcasts, videos, not to mention rigorous travel schedule, mostly shared between 5 or 6 editors. There's no time. This is genuinely important stuff we're losing in gaming history. This is just egregious what GameStop is doing here. Like, it's one thing to say it's the end of Game Informer, but to take down the website completely instead of at least keep that up and maintain that aspect of things is asinine. It's classic GameStop. We're talking about a business, again, that is just flailing, has no idea what it's doing, has not been able to adapt to the digital age, and a business that is so incompetent that former Nintendo of America president Reggie Fils-Aimé, when he once upon a time joined GameStop's board to help them turn things around, decided that he had enough and just left the board because leadership refused to explain how they would turn the company around, and they were just not taking in anything that Reggie was telling them in terms of recommendations for how to turn the business around. Right?
And everybody loved Reggie back in the day. So to hear that, like, he tried to do like a legitimate thing of like helping them, because like I am slowly learning that it's like within like every industry, I would imagine you can't just, always advocate for your own thing. In terms of video games, it's like a multiple things have to happen for the entire industry to thrive. And you have like your main staples of like, Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft. And then you have like some secondary, tertiary parties that make like some alternate controllers and shit. Maybe, I don't know. You have some people that make like gaming peripherals, you have, the entire PC computer industry to kind of aid that along. You have things like game journalism. What else? You had stores like GameStop. Gaming is like a, what was it? Was it $1 billion? It is quickly becoming, or actually has become, like the preferred form of media. grossly dwarfing like movies and music by like, what was it, like billions? Like gaming was like an $80 billion industry. Like movies was like, I don't know, 30 or 40 billion, and then music was like maybe 10, 20 billion or something like that. Um yeah, gaming isn't nothing. So whenever you have like a staple person to try to come around and try to help you and aid you to like turn your business around to become more stable. I mean, shit, I don't know the details of any of the like whatever happened and shit, but like, I mean, it seems like a bonehead move if you're not like accepting like a figurehead like Reggie's help. It just seems stupid.
Right here, we have another former Game Informer staff venting his frustration by saying, "I'm furious about the end of Game Informer. It was an incredible 33-year run, and then GameStop pumps out this phony, empty farewell message. I'd bet money it was written by AI. Fuck you, GameStop, and a huge fuck you to Ryan Cohen, who's the CEO of GameStop, who's just been driving the company into the ground and took Game Informer with it." Why couldn't they have sold Game Informer to someone? I mean, just to see Game Informer go down like this really, I think, is quite tragic. And this ironically comes in a few days after GameStop tweeted
I bet y'all wish you bought physical copies now. Oh Jesus, this was like, there's no way this is from the official GameStop Twitter. What? Xbox 360 store has officially shut down. End of an era. Bro, I didn't even know Xbox 360 store like was even like still a thing in 2024. That's crazy. And this is what I'm talking about. Whenever you buy digital copies of games on certain platforms, in order for you to, be able to have access to that game, the company has to do well. If the company's not doing well, or at least like the Xbox 360 portion of the company isn't doing well, then you simply lose all your shit. And that's crazy to think about. So this sets precedence for the future. So this is a major con for digital goods.
following, "Bet y'all wish you bought physical copies now," in reference to the Xbox 360 store shutting down. And GameStop tweeted support for physical media, in large part because that's kind of a big part of their business. But not to say that I disagree with the fact that we should support physical media. But GameStop tweeting this shortly before shutting down and utterly nuking one of the very few remaining physical magazines that covers video games. And in terms of just the depth and extent of coverage that Game Informer does, it might be the only gaming magazine, physical gaming magazine, that did it at that level. And now that just no longer exists. If you had any respect for physical media, or just preserving at least aspects of the digital coverage that Game Informer has done, you would have kept the website up at the very least, or you would have sold Game Informer to somebody else to continue the legacy, found some way to keep it alive, but you utterly, completely just decimated what is like almost like a cultural institution in gaming history at this point. Now, there are some efforts that are being taken to preserve.
There's a Game Informer archival project happening in MinMax's Discord at the moment. Jump in if you feel like being helpful and preserving some history.
Game Informer. So right here we have MinMax, which for those who don't know is an individual outlet that was started some time back by former Game Informer employees who were caught in layoffs. And they're essentially taking efforts through their Discord to organize a way to preserve some history and to archive Game Informer, as much of it as they can. So it'll be interesting to see how much of Game Informer they do manage to preserve. But the fact that such efforts have to be taken instead of GameStop at the very least allowing some semblance of a grace period for the website to remain up, for this stuff to be archived, and for all the coverage that they did and all of the information that they've put out there to be preserved, is just, I mean, it is the insult to injury. It is the sprinkle of pepper on top of your gaping wound. I really hope everyone.
I mean, does Wayback Machine not work? Or maybe, like, I've never actually like successfully used like Wayback Machine. I don't see how you couldn't just type in like go in like Wayback Machine and type in all the days, all the articles for all that shit to get it back. I mean, maybe they're doing something else.
Manages to land on their feet, and I guess I'll leave off with my experience with Game Informer. I remember the first Game Informer magazine I bought was the one covering Elder Scrolls for Oblivion. It's how I discovered
Oh
Elder
damn,
Scrolls,
I
literally
remember
through
that
Game
one.
Informer and their coverage of this game. I remember buying that magazine, reading through the cover story, and being so incredibly hyped by everything they were saying about what this game
That
was
shit
going
was
to be.
good.
And then I bought the game and I played it, and it became one of my favorite games of all time. And from then on, I remember being a teenager, and the thing
Same.
that I would look forward to most when I'd go like grocery shopping with my mom was going to the magazine racks and seeing if there was a new issue of Game Informer. And every time there was, I'd pick one of those up and, beg my mom to buy me the thing. And I'd just like read it from page to page, and especially those cover stories that provided like just unprecedented insight into the games that they were covering, especially at that time. I remember.
Yeah, because back then, making a video game, much the same way of making a movie, it was all very enigmatic on how people made video games, how people made movies. You'll see things like on old DVDs, the making of section of a DVD. You'll have the bloopers of a DVD, uh, or the director's commentary, subtitle. Well, not subtitle, but like a voiceover portion of a DVD. Just with like either the director or the director and some actors, like just going over and trying to remember like what they did. All those like little things were valuable in terms of like revealing the process of what happens to make all of that shit. Like uh in terms of like video games, there was like a ton of stuff that you could buy, well not buy, but like they came along with like little pre-order things of like art books, like how like the making of or a score. What else? I'm trying to remember. There was just so many things that we take for granted now that we know the process of making a movie. We know the process of making a video game. And both of those things are just, bigger and better. Well, not bigger and better, but in terms of like AAA video games or AAA movies, like big budget blockbuster movies, everybody knows like how a movie is made. Everybody knows how a video game is made. So there's no real value to any of those things anymore. And it just, I don't know, kind of sucks, but I don't know. I don't really think, even if those things were brought back, I don't even know if I would like watch like a making of portion of a DVD or a like a voiceover thing for a movie. I mean, I think was it like the last time I listened to like a voiceover for like a making of movie was probably like the Lord of the Rings. And yeah, like DVDs or well not even DVDs, but like Blu-rays even. I don't even think that they make those little sections anymore.
Buying quite a few issues, and every one of them being just like a momentous occasion, like a monthly treat to look forward to. And so I really do have fond memories of Game Informer, and buying those magazines, and Game Informer being the outlet that kept me so up to date on some of my most anticipated titles. So to close the video off, I hope everyone at Game Informer knows that they have had a tremendous amount of impact in gaming culture, gaming history, and I'm sorry that corporate bullshit has ruined what should have been a continuing, long-running venture. But know that you've had an impact. You live in the hearts of many who grew up playing games. Like I feel like everyone who grew up playing games will tell you some story about buying a Game Informer magazine, and
Oh yeah.
game developers will tell you how special it was to see their game feature in the magazine and whatnot. So at the very least, I hope you can if you are someone who worked for Game Informer, you can keep your head held up high, knowing that your work really, really mattered. Or at the very least, that's one man's take. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on this sudden nuking of Game Informer, and, you know, share your stories about your experiences with Game Informer and their magazines. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.
Nice. Well, I don't really know how to feel because I grew up with Game Informer. And, you know, the older I got, the more that I realized that game journalism was like a sham. So I don't, this is kind of like learning all over again that the Tooth Fairy is not real, Santa Claus is fake, the Easter Bunny is not real, and so on and so forth. So I don't really know how to feel. I'm kind of like in the middle. Like on one side I feel like, dang, there goes another piece of like childhood. But then again, I haven't really paid attention to anything Game Informer within the last like, I don't know, 10, 15 years ish. So for that reason, I'm like, whatever on it, because, you know, my opinion on like Game Informer, or not Game Informer, but like gaming journalism is that, you know, it's kind of understandable to know that like there is biases in game journalism. There's a profit incentive to finish games really quick on the easiest difficulty, and to like just glaze the fuck out of video games to, you know, make people buy games. Like a bad game is a 7, a great game is a like an 8 or a 9, you know. So it's just little things like that. But again, I mean, this is a cool video. Thanks for the heads up. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I got to say about that. So I'll catch you guys on the next one, all right? Later.